oh my gosh, the joy in my heart was like, oh my God, this is actually working. Like finally, I'm 28 years old and I've been a musician. I started my musical junior year when I was 5.
Yeah.
Like I've been playing guitar since I was 7. I've been in bands since I was 12, performing like crazy, like ever since then. And this is the first time that I finally run into something that's working.
Dude,
like, oh,
everything you're saying, I'm just like, wow, I'm so glad that you said that. Because I mean, it's funny because I'm also 28. I also was taking these trainings when, starting in late 2017. And I also had the same idea of like, I've been making this weird music since 2009, but now it's like I can make people understand that weird music all the time.
Right. Yeah. Because you can find the people that are going to resonate with it and you're not like shooting in the dark. Like I felt like I was wandering around in the dark with a blindfold, like just running like crazy. Like I got to do something. I got to go somewhere. And then I'm just bumping into stuff and like falling on the ground and like, oh God, that didn't work. And then like finally someone took the blindfold off my eyes and I'm like, I can see now. I know where I'm going.
Yeah.
And I can actually aim for something and know exactly what I'm aiming for and hit it.
Yeah.
And hit it in the bullseye, or if I am slightly off, I can pivot and I know exactly what I need to do to pivot.
Yes.
You are now listening to the Creative Juice podcast brought to you by Indepreneur.io.
Okay, so in this interview, I will be talking with Shay. She was in our 8-week IndieFounder Foundations course. And I found her to be just immediately really enthusiastic and applied with a lot of this stuff. Just jumped right into building landing pages and planning things out in a really coherent and dense way. And I was really impressed. You'll hear in this interview how she had gone from being in bands and kind of doing the usual grind and not really getting anywhere to learning this digital stuff and really turning it around and seeing a huge difference. And it's been really great actually to hear at the end of this interview about how well it's gone for her and where she intends to go with it. So I hope that you enjoy this interview. So I present to you my conversation with Shay. Shay, hello.
Hello, Jesse.
Welcome back to our world.
Oh, I'm so excited to be here. I've been in your world, but I'm glad to be here on this part of it.
Right. On this little planet in the universe, the Indepreneur universe. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. So I want to ask you a couple initial things to sort of set the stage.
For sure.
First thing is, what founder class were you in?
I was in, I don't remember the digits.
I think it was the 3rd session, or was it the 5th?
I don't know. All I know is it was from like February to March, end of March. Wait.
Yeah.
Something like that.
I think you were the third ever session, I think. And you were the, and I don't know that we called it this that much during the class, but we call it the Foundations class.
Oh, okay.
Foundations. Yeah. Which
Got
was,
because now you have the permission thing. So you got to like organize it and label it correctly. So
exactly.
You know which founder class you're in.
Correct. So we have the main 8-week Foundations, which was what you took part in. And I wanted to ask you a bit about your artistry. How would you describe, because I have an idea, but I would like to hear you explain it. So like kind of what kind of artist would you describe yourself as? And, what kind of music do you like to make typically?
Well, definitely the big umbrella of the genre is rock, like anything with electric guitars and drums and like big emotional music, I'm all in. But this particular project is categorized as like pop punk, indie rock, like those 3 things mainly. So
cool. Yeah. Perfect. Yeah. That's really good to hear. And obviously we have a shared love of The Legend of Zelda.
Yes.
And there was seemingly some vague influence in the one fan finder I saw
Yeah.
you turned
Well,
into
that
a
was
wolf.
kind of an accident.
Yeah.
I wore the Zelda shirt or the Triforce shirt, and then the song's called "I Cried Wolf," and then I did this whole thing where I turned into a wolf like throughout the video, and then I realized at the end, like my friend was like, were you trying to like do some sort of like spin off of like Twilight Princess?" And I was like, oh my god, no, I wasn't at all, but that's my favorite Zelda game. And then all of a sudden it was that, and I was like, this is so sick.
There's a potential interest, audience there.
Yeah.
Targeting
I didn't even like think about that until like after the fan finder started, and I was like, oh wait.
Yeah, that was too perfect. On the point of your fan finder, I want to hear about and again, a lot of this I've discerned, but I remember that you were pretty grassroots. Like you had a general knowledge or a general sensibility of what you wanted to do, but it was like you hadn't really applied any of it yet. So was that kind of the situation for you going into the class?
Pretty much. I mean, so in a nutshell, like my music career was a mess. Like before, I was like a full-time musician, but I was like entertaining people on Beale Street, teaching church music circuit. Like I got like this college education, like I got a music degree, like I fell for that trap. Wah, wah. And then got out and was like, what the hell do I do now? How do I make money? But anyway, yeah, I'm one of those stories, but I pretty much was in between albums with the band I was currently in, which was a metal band at the time, and locally here in Memphis. And then I was like, I want to start a solo project. Like I need to do something else. And I had found Indepreneur in like early 2018. Yeah. Oh. No, maybe tail end of 2017.
Yes. And same here.
Look at us.
I know.
Buddies. So I was listening to like Creative Juice religiously, like, and I was just eating it up after I found like Circa's ad on Facebook. Like I had a moment where I was like crossroads moment where am I going to keep doing music? Am I really supposed to do this? And if I am, something needs to change like right now because what I'm doing is not working. And then I found Indepreneur in a Facebook ad the next day. Call that like Providence or something. I don't even know. And it was like an emotional moment. Like this may sound lame. Like I don't know if Circa's going to listen to this, but I legit was like in tears watching his video. And no, for real, because I felt like he was talking to me.
Wow.
And he's like, all my friends have quit music because this and something's wrong with the music industry. And I'm going to, I went to find out. And like I was in that moment, like emotionally. And so way to go. Good marketing.
Right.
So all that to say, when it came to Founder, I was in between albums, and then it was, I'm going to start the solo project over. And I had that intention of starting it from the ground up so I could start it the right way. Because I had spent like a year like completely rewiring my brain about like how to pursue a music career. Yeah. And so I was just trying to get my head wrapped around it. And then it was like, this is the time. I have one song, one video, nothing else. And I'm just going to do it. I'm going to go in and I'm going to do this thing and build it from the ground up. So I was starting completely over. So it was like take 7 of trying to start a music career. Like been in so many bands and done so many things before that. I was starting over again for like the 7th or 8th time.
Wild.
Yeah.
So that's super great to hear because I feel like Founder has had this weird benefit to people who had a lineage. You know what I mean? I feel like we had kind of designed Founder as like sort of this proper introduction to what we're doing, to where like we could pluck someone who knew nothing, get them up to speed. But we've had, it would appear at this point, we've had a ton of founders who have had these skirmishes and these these journeys that have led them potentially astray. And in a way they spill out into Founder, and there's this preemptive knowledge of like, well, I know, I've played all these shows. I've sold some things, but I haven't been tracking it, and I've been burned by these other marketing tactics that don't work.
Yep.
And then you're just ready to be like, okay, now it's like this hard reset. And
yeah, exactly.
I didn't actually have much of a conception of that from you when we were in the class, but I feel like now I'm kind of seeing how that may have benefited, because my perspective on you was like, you from the get were just coming in hot. You were just like option page, fan finder, like, and you're just talking like the tech. You were just so there the whole time. And that was part of why I wanted to talk to you, is because I felt like you were still to this day one of the most like activated students.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, thank you. I'm
Totally.
glad to hear
You're very welcome. So I guess, with that behind, with all that behind you, and then being in the class, kind of what did you feel like? What were the feelings, and what were your motivations during the class? Especially knowing how kind of in it you seemed to be.
my feelings and motivation in the class.
Yeah, like while you were taking it, what was making you so seemingly fired up and applied? Yeah.
Okay. Well, first of all, I just believed in Indepreneur from the get-go. So that was part of why I was so like, I guess, motivated in the class, was because I really believed in what we were doing, and I really believed that it worked. And I was just so excited to like be there and be a part of what we were doing and get to work with you and Corrin. And so that was a huge part of it. But like within the class, it was like actually getting to walk through everything in a more detailed way with you guys was like so exciting, because it was like I'm not going to ever really, I mean, who knows, I may get that again someday, but like this is like a period of time where I have this time to directly access folks that are actually teaching these strategies, and I'm just going to pour as much into it as I possibly can and get out of it as much as I can while I'm here. So that when I leave, I can keep going and maximize success after I graduate the program. So
yeah, I'm super glad you said that, because it explains a bit about the position we're in as instructors and educators in a way. Because, if I could have a superpower where I just could like go into every indie's mind and do it for them and just be like, here you go. Like, I would want to do that, but like, obviously that's not the reality. And there's so much that I have to entrust this student with, to where it's like, that I need to almost first instill that thing you just said, that whole ethos, because it's like, I need the indie to be, hungry and ready to apply and know like, this is for me. I need to learn this for myself. And so there is a bit,
the drive, like, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
Please.
But you can't like teach someone drive. You can't teach someone passion. Like, they have to find that within themselves. And I mean, with my students in like my private lessons, like it's the same thing. I can relate to that. It's like, I want you to be passionate about this. I want you to have the drive, like, and like the discipline, but like you have to find that within yourself. And I came to the table with that already, which I think is why, it was such a successful thing for me, being in Founder, is because I came to the table with that already. So
exactly. It really, again, if I could just find a way to make that happen for everyone, I
exactly
could.
I know.
Like it's exactly what you said. So I'm glad that people are listening to you say that right now, because that applies at every layer of, what we are professing. It's like, we can make it so easy for you, as easy as possible. But like, if you're not there to receive it, emotionally and mentally, then that'll be your bottleneck.
That's hilarious that you just said bottleneck, because I have a song coming out called Bottlenecked.
Really?
Yeah.
Amazing.
That's hilarious.
Amazing.
In like a month. But anyway,
perfect. I'm sure everyone will see the fan finder, provided they fall in the saved audience. They will get that.
Right. Yeah, we'll see.
Cool. So I think that that runs nicely into, my next set of curiosities, which are rather, kind of what you had accomplished during the class. I remember it sounded like you emerged from the class, and this is not always the typical experience, but it seemed like you were able to, within the course of the class, learn a bunch, apply a bunch, run it, pivot, like all of it, like do a whole run, and then emerge with like tons of results. And I remember it seemed like your fan finder went off really well, and that caused a lot of traction. So yeah, what is your report on kind of your results during the class?
Right. So this is super exciting to share, because I told you and Corrin at the end of Founder that what took my current band that I was in before this solo relaunch, like 3 years to do, it took me 3 months.
Oh my gosh.
Like, and I told Corrin that at the end of Founder, and she was just grinning from ear to ear, and she was just shaking her head like, that's awesome. And I was like, yeah, come on, let's go.
See, that's why when she's happy, I call her Grin Campbell.
Yeah, I love it. I love that.
I don't call it that, but anyway.
Oh, okay.
I'm joking around.
Well, then I won't say that in public.
Yeah, she's probably mad. She's probably mad. She's like, I can't believe he brought the puns on my name to the podcast. Anyway,
as we were saying,
so you achieved what your old band could not, or I guess did, but within
right.
What was that benchmark that you said you achieved? What do you know what I'm saying?
Right. So we had somewhere between 1,000 and 1,500 likes on Facebook, and like, not that likes really matter, but I mean,
yeah,
people
as
look
a
at
metric
that
of longevity,
right? And I mean, yeah, they're vanity metrics, but still, they have some measurability to your impact. So, I mean, we had like 1,000, 1,500, and that took us probably like 3 years.
Yeah.
To get to that point. And that was just playing lots of shows. And not that I have 1,500 likes or follows on Facebook, but the fact that I now am sitting, 6 months out. I launched it in March.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm sitting 6 months out, and I'm about to hit 800 follows on Facebook.
Yeah.
And then the fan finder, like one point, like you guys posted it like on your social media, you used my comment, and I was like, hey, that's me.
Yeah.
That's awesome. It was like 1.3K reactions, 273 comments, 233 shares, 47 likes, 508 followers. And this was like just out of graduation. So this is within 8 weeks time,
right,
of getting that, that kind of engagement with the video, in 8 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
Like, right. And I'm like my band's like Facebook page and like, videos and stuff on, like, we had like one video on YouTube and, stuff we'd post on Facebook. But I mean, there was like just small potatoes compared to that, like, I was just amazed at how, I mean, even though like, not all the comments are positive, you always get like, people trolling on your stuff, but like the fact that the majority of it was positive, that I was getting messages from people from, not just the US, but like the UK, and like in my inbox, like within that amount of time was just, oh my gosh, the joy in my heart was like, oh my God, this is actually working. Like finally, I'm 28 years old and I've been a musician. I started my musical junior year when I was 5.
Yeah.
Like I've been playing guitar since I was 7. I've been in bands since I was 12, performing like crazy, like ever since then. And this is the first time that I finally run into something that's working.
Dude,
like, oh,
everything you're saying, I'm just like, wow, I'm so glad that you said that. Because I mean, it's funny because I'm also 28. I also was taking these trainings when, starting in late 2017. And I also had the same idea of like, I've been making this weird music since 2009, but now it's like I can make people understand that weird music all of a sudden.
Yeah. because you can find the people that are going to resonate with it, and you're not like shooting in the dark. Like I felt like I was wandering around in the dark with a blindfold, like just running like crazy. Like I got to do something. I got to go somewhere. And then I'm just bumping into stuff and like falling on the ground and like, oh God, that didn't work. And then like finally someone took the blindfold off my eyes and I'm like, I can see now. I know where I'm going.
Yeah.
And I can actually aim for something and know exactly what I'm aiming for and hit it.
Yeah.
And hit it in the bullseye, or if I am slightly off, I can pivot and I know exactly what I need to do to pivot.
Yes. That's the magic thing is like, it's one thing to start implementing this stuff and be like, you're like, shake, it works. And you're like, whoa, it's working. Like that's new. Exactly. But then it gets to the point where the third time you do it, you're like, yeah, it's going to get 300,000 views, whatever. You're like, like, you're like, know what to, I can recall this result. Right. It's crazy.
Yeah. Super rad.
But yeah, another thing that you mentioned that is, I think, relevant to point on, and it seems like I shouldn't have to explain this. And I'm sure a lot of the podcast listeners, just latently feel like you do, but the enthusiasm and the wonder and the love of doing it, to where you said like you were getting these messages and this result, and it's just like, it is kind of like, I feel like, at Entrepreneur, we're always talking about like, well, you put your pixel on the site and then you watch the standard event, and it's like, it's not all just metrics,
Yeah.
It's important to come back to be like, but the point of this is that you're changing people's lives.
Yes. Oh my God. Yes.
Yeah.
Preach it, Jesse. Totally. Okay. So my response to that, I'm so glad that you said that, because like, I mean, I'm not like, you know this just from being in class with me. Like I'm such a people person, and I'm so like focused on like the relational and like emotional connection with people. And I'm all about that. My brand's about that. Like For Those Who Wander. It's all about like human connection. And so I really love, like, that's why I do music. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like that's why so many of us do music, is because there's something mystical about the power of music and how it can connect people and how it can shift and change culture in such a powerful way, and influence people for the better, And so when you think about it, like when it comes to marketing, it's like, all the metrics, like you're saying, like, but those things are required to like reach the people that you really want to connect with. And so, all that stuff can be really difficult to like wrap your brain around and understand. And like, I'm still learning, and I get overwhelmed sometimes when I go into business manager sometimes still, where I'm just like, oh God, all these numbers, wait, which metrics do I need to pay attention to?
Totally.
But I'm really enjoying the creative side of it. Like I've learned to treat it like these are the letters and phrases in an alphabet for me to craft a story to tell my listeners. And thinking about it that way has really helped, where it's like, how can I take this storytelling approach to marketing and use the metrics as like those ingredients to build that story, or the language to build that story and connect with the right people. And once I thought about it like that, I was like, oh my God, this is awesome. It's just another way for me to like storytell, because I love storytelling, So it really helped.
That is just, man, I don't know what it is about these interviews, but like, I'm bringing you people on and you're just like, oh, this perfectly worded snippet that gets the heart of everything we've ever talked about. Like,
right.
Because that's super important to understand. It's like, yes, extension of your creativity and extension of your sentiment. I get that it might be a confusing thing to explain, but like,
right.
Business manager is weirdly a portal to like a prism to almost refract your story into.
Yeah, I love that. Universes. That's a great image, Jesse. Way to go.
Very dark side of the moon.
Yes, very much.
So the last thing I want to touch on, which this is definitely kind of indicating a little bit of, is after the class, it sounds like you've had a ton of insights and and applications of things. And obviously your fan finder, I presume it ran maybe even longer than the 8 weeks, but kind of what did you apply after, or what do you plan to apply? And like, what are you hoping to achieve in doing so moving forward?
Right. So the fan finder is still running only $1 a day right now. And the cost has gone up significantly. I kind of like effed it up because when Circa came out with like all that new bot information, I like impulsively went in and like did the stupidest thing you could ever do and like changed my countries. And then it was like, oh, why did I do that? So anyway, but it's still bringing people in even now. But it's definitely time to put a new one out there. So I have a new fan finder ready. I'm trying to get some other things together before I put it out. Getting my permission campaign together because I'm wanting to put that all at the same time. And then the fan finder that I'm about to put out, the version of that song, like audio wise or arrangement wise, excuse me, is more of a remix than the actual original version of the song because I had to adapt the version for the video. I'm going to releasing the like remix and the original at the same time on Spotify with the permission campaign and the fan finder. So I'm almost done getting all that together. And so that's kind of what's rolling out next. But this particular fan finder, I'm still kind of riding on its success. So currently, if you want numbers, because I know people get psyched about numbers, and then I'll go into the more important stuff after that. But
sure.
791 Facebook follows, 654 Facebook likes. I also got put on release radar on Spotify. So I've got 8.9K streams. So I'm almost at 9,000 streams since May 20th.
Wait. On the Wolf song?
Yeah, on the Wolf song.
Amazing. Cool. All right.
And then, that's because of release radar. Like I had a huge spike in release radar because I timed it right. Spotify training, y'all. Go do it.
Nice.
99 followers on Spotify as well. I'm using Spotify Instagram ads for $1 a day and they work really, really well. So, and then the fan finders at 2.8K reactions, 378 comments, 411 shares. And so I remember something that you told me when we were in the founder class that I really grabbed onto was,
I wonder what you're going to say.
You know what I'm going to say?
I don't. I wonder.
Oh, okay. You told me to like you told everyone, but you were specifically addressing me, to not try to like rush too quickly from the fan finder into like permission.
Yeah.
To really like take time to like educate and nurture that audience. And especially when you're just starting out. And so I've been doing that like mad, bro.
Yes.
Like mad. So like recurring content, Facebook live stream every Tuesday at 7:30. I just launched a Twitch channel this last week. It's been really cool because ever since I started doing these Facebook live streams, I've kind of formed this small, like tight-knit community within like the broader fan base. So, I mean, it's not a lot of people. It's like 6 to 12 people that will show up every week on these Facebook live streams. And they're there and committed and they're diehards. And we keep in touch throughout the week. And they're asking me, this is what's crazy. They're asking me for stuff I don't even have yet.
Yes. Exactly.
They're like, hey, you should make a t-shirt and make some money. We'll buy some. So I did that. Like I don't even have an email list, Jesse. Like I'm going to build an email list like this fall, but like, I don't even have an email list. And they were like, hey, if you make a shirt, we'll buy some. So this is what I did. I made a t-shirt with the logo. And I made it limited edition. So I was like, how can I make this special, right? How can I make this like, oh, okay, like here's not just a t-shirt. Like, how can I make this an experience? So I printed it in orange, which is a limited edition color, quote unquote. And I said, this shirt, there's only 20 of them that I'm going to print in this color. And I put them on sale. And I said, it's not just a shirt. It's also like a VIP, like secret key to unlock behind the scenes like experiences and discounted offers in the future. So the top 20, the first 20 fans of For Those Who Wander that have this shirt, I'm planning on like leaving these little Easter eggs in these different experiences and things for them along the way as the For Those Who Wander journey unfolds. These guys have special access to stuff because they were one of the first 20 fans of the band. So, and I did that, and I'm almost sold out.
I'm dead hearing all of this because like it's like I couldn't. I mean, that's exactly like the philosophy. That's like the quintessential entrepreneur indie would discern exactly what you did, is like dig into this intro education nurturing phase to the point where there's so much goodwill that they're coming to you being like, look, this is what you do next.
Yeah, exactly.
And then you're just like, oh, that's my avatar. Like, that's my product. Those are my people. This is what we like. This is what they want to do. And then building it out and not just building it out, but crushing it and being there for it. Yeah,
they asked for a shirt. They've asked for a private Facebook group. They've asked for behind the scenes content. They've asked for playthroughs of the song. And I'm just like, I can't keep up. It's like, I gotta like, and I've told them, I was like, guys, all this is great. Like I have the stuff. I'm working on it. It's coming. And so just hang with me. I'm working on it. But yeah. And like all that stuff is coming very soon with all this permission stuff that's going to be coming out. It's just going to hit like a freaking wall. And I'm so excited to see how the next Fan Finder does. And once all this kind of goes forward. So I even like with the shirts sent them. So I went and got like some postcards, like some black postcards and like chalk pens and like drew like the logo and stuff like that and like wrote them like a handwritten postcard with a free sticker and put it in every single package just to say thank you, because I did not expect them all to do that so early. You know, it was like, I really want to show my appreciation because this is wild. You know,
that is so incredible. God,
we're having pop punk night in August.
You are.
So like quarterly themed events for the live streams. So everybody's excited about that. And we're doing like pop punk trivia and like prizes and stuff. So it's going to be cool.
It's incredible. Man. So, you know, this was a fantastic, you know, conversation and kind of catching up again. I feel like you closed it out better than we could have by just being like, oh, where am I going? This is where I'm going, and it's absolutely mind-blowing. So, I mean, if you have any final sentiments, you may share them now, but otherwise, I think everyone that's listened to your story is very inspired at this point.
Yeah, no, for sure. Like, like I said earlier, I'm pro entrepreneur from the moment that I heard Circa open his mouth and tell that story, and I believe in it wholeheartedly, and it works. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of work, but nothing good comes easy. Yeah. So, and it's so worth it. And the middle class musician thing is a thing, and there's hope. So, don't give up on your music. Like, get after it, do the work, stay passionate, stay driven, and go find your people and build community and make great music and change the world.
Dang. Beautiful.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Okay. Thank you so much for coming on. That was so good.
Thank you for having me. I'm like my favorite podcast ever. So I'm really stoked to be here.
So sick. You're on it. You're on Creative Juice.
Yeah. It's awesome.
Cool. Well, I will be seeing you in the community, and I'm sure everyone else will as well.
Awesome. Of course.
So you have a great rest of the week.
Yeah, man. You too.
What have you?
Awesome. Have a great weekend, Jesse.
See you. For this interview, I'm talking with Marcella. She's a very interesting sort of student. She came from a long sort of career of success that spanned different bands and countries, and she's, you know, it was more in the world of metal. And so that was very much its own world. And she, coming into Founder, seemed to have a lot of savviness about, you know, what it means to have an audience and how to cater to them, whether or not it involved digital. And she had a really great sense of literacy with this stuff, which was really refreshing. And she really wanted to take this sort of metal audience and prestige that she had and bring it into a more personal, focused down sort of solo project. So she had the very difficult task of converting some of these old fans and retaining them as customers and ascending them and things like that. So we talk sort of all over the place about her experience with doing that, and how she's applied things and how she views kind of marketing in general. And she said just some perfect, clips. She had some great lines that will make your Indepreneur ears perk, I promise. So enjoy this conversation with Marcella. Well, hello again, Marcella. How are you doing today?
Hi, I'm doing good. It's nice to see you on my screen again.
Yeah, again, right? I know. I do think about all of the cumulative minutes that people see me on video, and that must just grow every day that I keep working at Indepreneur.
Yeah, it's a lot. If that could determine how famous you are in the world, then you will be pretty famous.
Well, that's definitely an aspiration. Well, cool. So I wanted to talk to you because I felt like you were a really indicative founder of ours. You had sort of a unique, from my vantage point, I felt like you had a unique set of circumstances ahead of you, and you handled it really well. So I guess I want to start by asking you just quickly, like how you would describe yourself as an artist, where you came from artistically and the things you've done, the things you intended to do, and just kind of the lineage of you as an artist.
Okay, well, let's see if I can sum it up quickly. Well, I've been making music and it's going to make very evident how old I am, but like 20 years or something like
Nice.
that.
Yeah.
Started in local bands in Mexico, which is where I'm from. And, through things of destiny, I ended up collaborating with this Dutch musician, Arjen Lucassen, and he invited me to sing in this rock opera project of his. I was making like progressive metal music before in Mexico with my bands. And then since I collaborated with him, that basically just like started up a whole lot of things in my career. I ended up making a band with him, moving to the Netherlands, and I've basically been recording and releasing albums with labels and independently since, I don't know, like 2005 or something like that.
Wow.
And so it's mostly like progressive rock, metal, and stuff like that. And I think like 5-6 years ago, I started getting a little bit, this need of doing a solo material, solo album. So I wrote a solo album, but it was way different, it was an album for a string quartet and voice. So it has a little bit of the symphonic element of progressive rock and stuff like that. So there's a link, but it's very different. And ever since, I've been interested in getting more into marketing and finding an audience for that music, because I luckily have a lot of people that are interested in what I make from the rock and the metal.
Yeah.
But to me, it had always been a puzzle. Like, okay, how do I find an audience for this?
Yeah, and I'm glad you laid all of that out, because that's actually more than I understood that about your musical history, and that kind of explains more of what I was hoping we would get at, which is just you entered Founder and you just had this career, like such a long career that spanned geographies and genre and personnel. And it was like, to see that in Founder and have you still kind of have this attitude of like, I'm here to learn totally new things. It's like, you would think like, don't you know everything by now?
No.
And that's the wise thing, about you, I think, is that you were seeing the value in this new layer of things and seeing how that, seeing how it could apply. And I think what was unique about your situation was that I thought it was a brave thing that you wanted to do, where you were wanting to move into this solo realm of things. And that's a pretty tough thing to draw these through lines. And I like that you mentioned the kind of symphonic element. Draw these through lines that allow you to collect, keep up your older audience and bring them into this newer realm of things as well.
Yeah. And, because from the people that knew me from the metal and the progressive rock, a bunch of them, were still interested in this. So there's a little bit of an overlap. So now if I try to map it back to the buddy system, there were some people that were already totally invested and were willing to give these new things a try and check it out, and they dig it and they follow it, so that's great. But I think, and looking back to everything I learned, that some of the things I already did in a sort of an instinctive manner, or through experience, learned that you have to build this relationship with your fans, and you have to be very involved, and it has to feel like a friendship. These people have to be committed, in order for you to be able to ask something from them. There has to be this reciprocity. But I still feel like I learned a lot from, for me, I guess the most important part was the introduction and how to get people interested in the first place, and of course I had taken the trainings. I've been on Indie Pro, I think, for about a year or something. But I don't know, it's just being in Founder and having the experience of talking about these things and also seeing how it works for other people. And it just put everything together so nicely,
Oh, that's good to hear. Yeah. I hope that, in leading Founder, that it kind of is that. It's because it's kind of an amorphous thing. It kind of needs to be an amorphous thing in order to cater to people like you and people that are this is their first introduction. And so having it be kind of communal, I think, helps interface a lot of that. Being able to see different examples, having people to talk to about things. Yeah. So it's good to hear that you felt like it was sort of a good summary and a good place to sort of live in as you're doing this marketing. But yeah, so I can tell, as we were going through Founder and through this conversation right now, you have, with your experience in music and everything you're saying about marketing right now, that you had a great instinct for all of this. Did you find that before you were in Founder or Indepreneur in general, that you were, what things were you applying that we were recommending, and what things, weren't you applying, I guess you could say? Kind of what's the difference of before you hit Founder? Was there anything you learned you were doing wrong and wanted to change, or things that you started doing all of a sudden?
Well, with Indie Pro and in general also, I think I was, I don't know, I think I wasn't fully conscious of how important it is, to be constantly in touch with people. That this is something that I'm definitely doing more also after Founder. I cannot neglect my mailing list, and I am not supposed to just email them when I have something to offer, but also just to give stuff and keep the connection. And I think that's one of the big light bulbs, that went on for me in Founders, that you have to keep people involved in such a way that they never forget who you are. So everything that you do has to be also so well on brand that people can recognize you from your fan finder, and the stuff you boost to your warm audience afterwards. And it has to be totally on point with who you are, and also totally recognizable for the people, so you stay in their minds, basically. I think that was a big learning point for me.
Yeah, I'm really glad you said that too, and it's inspiring to know that you kind of extracted that from it. I think oftentimes that's really the question that we're trying to answer. It's a huge question, and it takes a lot of clairvoyance, as I like to say. But how do you set something up to where the soul of it is just there at every moment? But there's also a reveal, like, so it's not just tactless, but that it's still a journey and it's still like consistent. And so in your particular case, I thought, I remember as soon as you were talking about like your past and where you wanted to go, that was going to be your, not biggest challenge per se, but just something that would be really important to adhere to, which was like, how do you pluck the Marcella from the, this metal world and put it in this more focused, pared down, softer world and have it still be like, that makes total sense. And I think the answer is often honing in on you as a person and an artist,
But that's something that I also took from the training that you said. It's like, I can totally, these people are out there, people that will get what I'm doing solo and what will get all my sides, So I was like paralyzed and I wouldn't try anything because I was kind of like afraid, like, oh, but then I'm going to scare some people away. Like, who cares? If in the end there's like 100 people that bought something from like thousands and thousands that you reach out to in a fan finder, that's already like a huge win. So
just
try it.
Right. And in a way, driving people away, and that's not really exactly the way to put it, but rather seeing people leave your funnel often, it's almost, it's not something to be discouraged by always. Like if people unsubscribe, I'm like, great, cleaner. My list just got cleaner, And so you can apply that same lens to, for example, in your case, where it's like, maybe you have some of this older metal footage and then a follow-up video is this more, orchestral, acoustic aside. And if people, that turns people off, then that your targeting, got more clear to you. Like the people that did stick around, these are now people that like both metal and this more pared down vibe. So, my question for you is like, have you seen kind of the effects of any of that? Have you been facing that split into the more solo realm lately? And have you what kind of effects have you seen from that?
Well, this is something that I still have to implement. I think we talk about it's like a whole education series where I show people basically everything that I have, that I do, all the different sides. I have this little clip of me like grunting with a metal band on stage in a festival, and this like little clip of me and the acoustic quartets, playing solo songs. And that's definitely something that I want to do. But for now, for instance, the content that I share on my mailing list is super varied. So now I'm not afraid of, okay, am I going to scare you with this? Are you going to like this? Is this like the people that like my solo stuff, or is this the people that like the metal stuff? I just throw everything out there. And some people unsubscribe and some people react very surprised. Like I have this Patreon page, and I ask my Patreons, for instance, to challenge me to sing very difficult songs.
Yes.
And it's called Marcella's Vocal Challenge, and it's ridiculous. The next thing that I have to sing is the diva dance from The Fifth Element. I don't know if you've ever seen the movie.
I don't.
It's this insane, like computer-made sort of like really, inhumane, difficult opera dance trance thing. But I start like sharing some opera singing bits with my audience, and it's nice, I surprise some people like, oh, wow, I didn't know you could do this. And I love opera too, so that's great. And some people just, unsubscribe and leave and whatever. And I think, well, this is it. I'm not going to hide anything that I like. And the people that stick for the ride are probably going to have so much in common with me that it's going to be great.
Yeah, that's so clever because the nature of that point of engagement, that challenge, is that the nature of that is saying, I am a multifaceted singer or musician, to where now that even explains further, like, well, this makes sense to you because I have these different flavors of music that I've been interested in, the through line of which you can kind of draw, but it really converges on something like that where it's like, okay, let's see how multifaceted I am. And then if they're interested, then it's just hammering in that point, like when you're subscribed, when you're paying attention and hungry for Marcella's music, it's going to be like you're driving home more that the point of it is like, this is who I am and I'm interested in lots of things and I'll crush all of them. Like they'll be awesome. So I think that's really smart.
Hopefully though.
Yeah, right.
I still have to prove it.
Right. I should hit you with a request. I could probably think of some weird ones.
Yes.
Cool. So it sounds like you've been, you've been on sort of a nurturing train race recently. Is that right? More than, and to those who may be new, I assume if you're listening, you know the stages of the buddy system, but the nurturing phase being after you've gained some subscribers, staying in touch with them in the way that kind of we've been talking about. Has that kind of been the focus of largely as of late with your buddy system?
Yes,
Cool.
but I have many plans. I have many plans, and maybe I was actually on a podcast with Mary Jess, who was also in the IndieFounder course yesterday, and we were just talking about like, I have so much to do. Like we were so inspired, and we have so many plans for so many campaigns, and it's just like. So I have this free plus shipping and handling thing that I'm almost ready to set up. I'm releasing a new metal EP with a new band that I just formed. So there's going to be an album launch for that, and a fan finder and the whole shablam, because I want to also be able to find like very specific metal fans for that project. So lots to do.
That all sounds incredible. And I feel like, I feel like you're really setting yourself up to do all of those things successfully. I think I know I keep coming back to this, but just the more that you establish like Marcella the musician as this multifaceted person, then it liberates you to be, bratty and do all those campaigns. This year I'm doing a quartet live stream series. I'm doing a metal EP. I'm going to do some polka remixes. It like all makes sense.
Ooh, polka.
Yeah. I could hear you doing that. Opera. I mean, and so that's cool. I think also nurturing in general, it's easy to gloss over that. And it's cool to hear you sort of living in that realm for a bit. And making sure that you're figuring out how to stay up to date with everyone, because it definitely does roll into, you're investing in the future every time you nurture.
Definitely.
Yeah. So of these campaigns, what do you think is next on your list, and like how do you kind of intend to roll it out?
I hope I can get my fellow musicians to help me out, because I would really like to make a fan finder for this new project, because it's like brand new and something that I would definitely like to experiment with, because everything I've done, I've also helped some bands, friends of mine, to set up like fan finders and stuff.
Awesome.
But for me, it's very interesting, like from something that's like completely from scratch, like totally new, a new name, like everything, to start a fan finder and see how that works, because I have a fan finder for my own music, which did really well, but there's a lot of people that already knew me that commented on it and shared it and stuff. So I'm really excited to try out like something from scratch, some brand new band. Let's see what happens.
Do you feel like you are do you feel like coming into this new project that you're going to be marketing for, do you feel like, what's your confidence level going into that situation? Do you feel like after everything you've learned that it's just gonna go off without a hitch and it's gonna be perfect? Or do you feel like it'd actually be harder because you're not sure how to build it up from scratch?
I think I'm confident.
Yeah.
And I don't know if this is I'm pretty confident, like it's and excited basically to see what happens, like just experience it, a fan finder from scratch and see what happens. Very excited.
Yeah. I think my instinct with something like that is, I feel like every time I have a new idea, it's like starting from scratch in a way to where, and every time I approach it, I feel like, oh, I'm not going to run into any issues because I've already ran into those issues before. So like I know how to avoid them from the start. And I think applying that to a new project will just ensure that you have a clean slate. And it's funny because I'll run into plenty of founders who come in and they're like, well, I don't have anything to work off of. And I'm like, you're arguably in the best position because you'll definitely have clean data from day one.
Yes.
Wow. So that's interesting. So is this the new like metal EP you were talking about? This is the band that it relates to?
Yes. So it's gonna be it's called Dark Horse, White Horse, and it's a completely new thing. And yeah, just excited. It's Corona time, so it's gonna have to get creative with the fan finder and stuff. But I have some ideas, and it's metal, so it's also not something that we can like very spontaneously like do live or stuff like that. But I'm confident. I think I think we're gonna do something cool. I think we're definitely. I'm excited. I'm
me too. It sounds. I'm
looking forward for hate. Like the just the fan finder. Like from zero, like brand new thing. I'm just curious to see what happens.
Yeah, I think there's a relevant point that we've fallen into here, which is confidence with, that you gain, through educating yourself. And I'm wondering about, like, it's just, I'm glad to hear that not only are you just like, oh, like things are clicking and I'm applying them to my project, but now you're kind of fearless enough to be like, let's start a new one. I can help my other friends and bands with some of this stuff. And what it's making me think about is like, for example, you're talking about hate comments on fan finders. They used to really make me wince, and I used to be like, I don't want to face it. And now I'm just like, whatever, dude. Like, it does not bother me. So yeah, I'm sure that you'll have some of that resilience going into that, especially with a new project where it's like, it's just, you can set it up exactly how you want, I feel like.
Yeah, I'm super inspired and just really curious to see what happens.
Yeah. And so you're thinking doing a launch for that EP?
Yeah, definitely gonna want to do some kind of launch. So probably it's 5 songs. So I'm thinking of doing like a Corona-ish live version of it and make a fan finder out of that. I know a great guy who does like very awesome lyric videos. I'm thinking of doing a multiple of those things for the launch, and basically just like give little drops of information in the scope of a couple of weeks to get people very excited. I know the people that follow me are already like super excited.
Yeah.
And I want to see if I can, get new fans interested through a fan finder and just, get subscriptions. I'm just really looking forward to trying everything out.
Yeah. I think it's a great way of applying the holistic nature of just everything on a new project. I think it can go again, you can kind of define your destiny from day one potentially. But I'm curious to what you would say to people who are, for example, I think, they're musicians and they've been musicians for a while who think like they don't need to learn how to, leverage social and fan relationships and community. You're already scoffing. You're already like, what? Because I think you're like right out of the gate with IndieFounder. It was like, wow, there's this lineage, and not just that, but you were like on the trigger with like technical pivots and like, I'm thinking my tech stack's going to be like this, leading into this with like, other integrations. Sounds like you're already, you're already there.
I have this secret advantage that I actually majored in IT. So my parents convinced me of like getting a good college education instead of studying music, which I hated back then. But now I'm very grateful that I do, because it's I think you cannot afford. None of us can afford to say like, oh, I don't want to do this, or no, I don't want to, publish content frequently to keep my fans updated. No, I don't want to learn anything about marketing, because no one in the world is going to do it for you. I mean, I think, and I get so excited every time like I see a post on the Indiepreneur side, of Circa, like saying like, you have to be full stack, you have to know everything, you have to like do everything yourself. Because I love learning new things and I love to do everything myself. So it really speaks to me. And I think it's just, if you learn to enjoy it, then it's so rewarding, to get all the pieces working together and, see all the systems working beautifully together. It's just, for me, it's just great. But then, I'm a nerd, so.
Yeah, awesome. I mean, I was so impressed because so many people in your position, it poisons their intuition for something where they're like, well, I've played on big stages all around the world. You think I need this? And it's like, it's kind of a separate conversation, It's like, well, it's not really replacing anything. It's only adding, and it's only augmenting, and it's only preparing you for more, to weather any additional storms you may face or shifts in the industry. And I mean, it's constant. And I was so glad to see you just be like, all right, I did all this. Now I'm doing this totally happily and successfully.
Yeah, but I don't know if it's metal is very niche. Of course, it's very, the fans are super devoted and super involved, but it's a small market. So that's the vibe that I have, and that I've learned basically from my fellow bandmates and all the people that I've worked with throughout the years, is that you have to be super grateful to the people that are interested in your music and buying your music and there for the shows and everything. And I learned this from Arjen Lucassen, which is the musician that invited me to sing in the Netherlands for the first time ever. He had been in rock bands in the 80s, so he did like the whole 80s rock touring extravaganza. He'd seen it all. He'd been on the big labels and everything. Mm-hmm. And whenever we had a show together, he would still, after the show, go to the merch stand and talk to everyone and spend time with people. He must get thousands of emails, and he spends at least 3 hours every day answering to everyone, commenting on Facebook, on the posts, everything. It's like,
we need this guy.
Yeah. Yes. No, he's amazing. And it's like, but I mean, that's what it is. You have to, it's about that relationship and making people feel like they belong somewhere. And metal is very particular like that, because it is like a community, it's it's not only the music that you listen to, but also the people that you interact with and the kind of clothes that you wear. So if you have this possibility of this option to build like such a close relationship with your fans, you know that they're going to be there with you through the good and the bad. So
wow, that was like the most beautiful summation of music marketing I've ever heard. Right, because it's I'm so, you know, it's an inspirational kind of sentiment. It makes a lot of sense though. It's like you're talking about, you know, what if you had a 500 capacity show that sold out and you were at the merch table talking to everyone? Like the effects that would have and the joy that would bring you, the joy that would bring them, and the money. I mean, even if we wanted to be like very, you know, numbers about it, the money that would bring in. And that is, your buddy system is literally that analogous in a digital format. And the fact that you're seeing that parallel to where it's like, I need to bring my personality and my voice into this situation because I'm building a community. That's like exactly what we're talking about.
Yeah. And that's
Amazing.
basically, I really like that about, you know, the body system and all the things that I've learned so far, is that I feel like it's given me enough clarity to do exactly that, but then online, you know, like.
Yeah. I love it. Well, cool. So that is more or less our time, but if you had something particular you wanted to sign off with or mention, you may have the floor.
I think that's it. That's the message, you know, like, it's about building relationships. It's about making bestest of friends with your fans. And I think if you know who they are, if you keep it honest and you put yourself out there and allow yourself to be vulnerable sometimes as well, then you end up building relationships that are going to be super rewarding, you know, not just on the monetary side, but also, you know, like it feeds your soul with good vibes when all these people are so connected, you know, it's really great.
Yeah, I totally agree. Wow. I'm so glad that we were able to talk. This was so good. I feel like you're setting an amazing example for so many people. And I mean, thank you for coming on and chatting with me.
It's my pleasure.
Yeah, I will be seeing you in the community.
Yes.